I do. Reading 2 Corinthians 2:4. But to let you know the depth of my love for you. Depth. Sinking in, going down to the deepest point, enduring, pursuing love. You see, for many years, I knew in my head, I knew what the Bible said. I knew that Jesus loved me. I'd sang the songs. I'd heard the teachers and the preachers say these words. I knew it up here, but I didn't actually know it in my heart. And it wouldn't be until a most unusual time that this would come to sink into my heart. It was an Easter Sunday, and Team Hamblin had woke up to some news that wasn't positive and wasn't in congruence with a happy Easter Sunday. So Team Hamblin, we wore our jeans. And we didn't get dressed up, and we didn't take some happy Easter family photo that year. No, rather, we went to church, because that's what you do on Easter Sunday, right? But the mascara had already been running down my face, and I was grieving because my grandma was dying, and my daddy's heart was aching. And as the rest of the church sang the songs about victory and being alive and death being no more, my grandma was dying. For me, death was stinging, and death hurt, and death was painful and taking my grandma. The tears fell quickly, and the boys, they surrounded me, and they were the tangible presence of my God in that moment. And yet, despite all the pain and the sorrow and the hurt, I knew God was God. And I knew his promise in Romans 8 that for in all things, God works for the good of those who know him. I knew that. And I knew that he could take death and that he could bring victory in life. And I knew those things. 1 John 4:16. And so we know and rely on the love that God has for us. You see, rely means that we have no other way to make it happen. We rely on that. And that this love that I was to be relying on, it needed to be experienced. It needed to be tested. Just like a rock climber is going to go out and test his ropes before he relies on them. I needed to test this love. And it was in that pew on Easter Sunday that I heard God ask, Nicole, do you know I love you? Right in the middle of the moments that my grandma was dying, God would become even more real to me, even more sincere. And I heard this question, Nicole, do you know I love you? And maybe this wasn't a rhetorical question. One morning, sometime later, I woke up and there was a chapter title in my head, and it was titled, I Do. I do what? All these weeks and months and years, I was supposed to be being, so now I do what? And I put this shampoo in my hair and I sudded it all up, and it hit me. I do meant something. It was the answer to the question that God had been asking me. It was the answer to the question on the front of this book. It was the answer that God had brought me to. I do. And how do I know? How do I know for sure? Because I've come to rely on that love. I've come to test it. And I've come to believe that God can take any situation, any life, anything, and make it good, and make it better, and make it holy. It would be times later that we would sing the song, You Satisfy Me With Your Love. And I had finally come to a place in my life that I realized that satisfaction from God's love covered a whole multitude of things that I had been trying to do for myself. I had been trying to do this, and I had worked hard, and I shopped to satisfy. I had relationships to satisfy. I ate food to satisfy. I performed on a stage to satisfy. All this energy and work to do things to satisfy, when really only God and his love could do that. And in this beautiful verse in Jeremiah 31:25, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. Because it takes a lot of work and a lot of energy to try to satisfy ourselves, right? And yet God is saying, no, I've got you. And he opens this love to us freely and to satisfy us. And now I knew this love that was satisfying. Are you allowing your Creator to love you? And do you know that he loves you?